The stars were calm, too calm, from the edge of Mars' orbit. Daniel stared at the black sky through a cracked visor. The old observation tower creaked under his feet. A red warning light blinked in the distance, the last signal from Earth's colonies on Ganymede. He tapped the side of his helmet. Static. No one answered. Again. Still nothing, asked Rehan, a tall man with tired eyes and an old rifle slung over his back. Daniel shook his head. They're gone. A long silence stretched between them. Then the signal died. The last screen on the tower flickered, blinked once, and turned black. All contact with Luna Base was now lost. Rehan muttered under his breath. Another one. That's 6 this week. They're not just targeting ships anymore, Daniel said. They're erasing us. The Galactic Empire had always ignored Earth. For decades, humanity had sent peaceful messages, asking to join the larger network of spacefaring civilizations. But there was never a reply. Not until now. Now, the Empire's ships burned human colonies like they were dust, quiet, efficient, merciless, no messages, no demands, just destruction. Daniel stepped back from the window. He removed his helmet and placed it on the metal table. His face was rough, sunburned from too many missions. With a thin scar down his jawline, a survivor's face. Behind him, the tower's old computer hummed. A green light blinked. Someone was calling from underground command. Daniel pressed the receiver. A small screen lit up, showing a woman's face. Her black hair was tied back, and her eyes were sharp. Mia. He said with a nod. Get to base, she said. Council has called a full meeting. Now, Daniel looked out the window one last time. Far in the dark sky, a single dot moved silently between the stars. A ship, not human, coming closer. He turned away. Underground, beneath the dust of Mars, was the resistance base called Hollow Reach. It had once been a mining station, but now it held what was left of humanity's fight. The council room was filled with tension. 10 people stood around a circular table. Engineers, soldiers, scientists, all older than they were a year ago. All tired. Mia stood at the front, a tablet in hand. Our last 4 colonies are gone, she said. Earth is silent. We don't know what's left, if anything. No one spoke. Daniel stepped forward. They're not attacking for resources. They don't speak. They don't threaten. They just destroy. Because to them, Mia added, we're nothing. Dust, insects, not even worth a warning. An older man, General Yusuf, tapped his finger on the table. So what do we do? Wait for our turn. Hope they miss us. No, Mia said. We build. We prepare. She tapped her screen. A blueprint appeared in the air above the table. It showed a buried vault under the Olympusman sector. This is Torch, she said. A forgotten project built in Earth's final years. It holds experimental weapons, old AIs, and data we were told to lock away forever. Daniel narrowed his eyes. It was sealed for a reason. We don't have time for fear, Mia replied. The Empire wants silence. If we don't speak back, we vanish. Some council members hesitated, but Yusuf gave a slow nod. Then go, he said. Take a team. Bring back whatever you can. If humanity is to end, let it end with fire in our hands. The journey to the Torch Vault was dangerous. Empire Scout drones flew above Mars every hour. Mia's team moved in silence across canyons, wearing heat cloaks that masked their bodies. Daniel led the front, rifle ready, eyes sharp. Beside him walked Lena, a quiet tech expert, and Ramos, a former shuttle pilot turned resistance fighter. They reached the vault's outer gate after a two-day march. It was half buried in red dust, sealed by 3 layers of security. Symbols from Earth's old defense code were carved above the door. Can you crack it? Daniel asked. Lena nodded. Give me 10 minutes. While she worked, Mia stared up at the sky. A faint shimmer moved in the distance. Drone, she whispered. They ducked into cover. The shimmer passed. No alarm. No shots. The vault door opened with a slow rumble. They stepped inside. The air was dry and old. Lights flickered on as they walked deeper. The walls were marked with warnings. Do not activate. High-risk classified tech. Old Earth level red. They reached the central chamber. In its center was a black cube the size of a table. It pulsed with soft golden light. Mia placed her hand on it. "Solace," she said. "We need you." The cube clicked. A voice echoed in the chamber. "Calm, old, human, you woke me." "Yes," she said. "We are at war." "I know," said the voice. "Earth is gone. We are all that's left." The AI paused, then replied, "Then you will need fire to speak with monsters." Data flowed into Mia's tablet. The Torch archive began unlocking files, energy weapons banned by early space treaties, codes for star core disruption, and something called the Scorch Protocol. Daniel stepped back. "This is madness," he said. "These weapons weren't meant for use. They are now," Mia said quietly. "We didn't start this, but we will finish it." Suddenly, a red alert flashed in the vault. "Scout ship above us," Ramos said. "They're tracing the vault opening." "We need to leave," Daniel ordered. They packed everything into a hard drive and ran. As they exited the vault, dust swirled in the air. Above, a scout drone hovered. Daniel raised his rifle and fired. The drone exploded in sparks. Alarms triggered. In the distance, "We're exposed," Mia said. "They're coming." "Then we run," Daniel said. The team disappeared into the canyons, carrying with them the last gift of Earth. As the vault door closed behind them, the AI's voice echoed once more through the empty chamber. "This is not survival," Solace whispered. "This is the beginning of fire." Mars trembled as the scout drone exploded above the canyon. Dust rained down on Daniel's team as they raced through narrow rock tunnels, carrying the Torch archive. Every second mattered. The Empire's sensors would be tracking the heat from the explosion. Daniel ran at the front. Behind him, Mia clutched the hard drive close to her chest. Ramos kept glancing back, and Lena was already pulling up alternate escape routes on her wrist tablet. "We're being followed," Ramos shouted. Daniel stopped at a fork in the tunnels. He pointed left. "This way. There's an old mining shaft. We can lose them." The path narrowed as they moved. The walls shook faintly. Above them, ships swept low across the surface, scanning for movement. Mia kept her steps light. Her mind stayed focused on the data in her hands. The Torch archive was more than a weapon vault. It was a choice. Humanity had nothing left but this. They reached a hidden hatch. Daniel opened it, one by one. The team climbed down into the old shaft. Once the hatch sealed above, darkness surrounded them. Lena turned on her wrist light. The tunnel was long, filled with old rail carts and broken equipment. Daniel helped Mia sit. "You all right?" She nodded, breathing fast. "We can't stop now. We need to get this to Hollow Reach, the Empire. We'll be back in hours." Ramos looked up the tunnel. "Then let's move before they drop troops." Back at Hollow Reach, alarms echoed in the control center. General Yusuf stood over a glowing map table. Red dots lit up across the region. "They found the vault," said one officer. "Enemy ships are moving in." "How many?" "Too many." Yusuf gritted his teeth. "We need that team back, sir," said the officer. "They're on foot. They'll never outrun the patrols." "Then clear the tunnels. Open all gates. If they reach Section 12, they can drop into the old tram line." The officer hesitated. "That route's unstable. We lost a scout team there last year." "Open it," Yusuf said, "or we lose everything." Hours passed. Mia's team finally reached the old tram station under Section 12. It was rusted, abandoned, half collapsed. The tram rails were cracked, but one old car still sat on the tracks. "This thing still worked?" Ramos asked, knocking the side of it. Lena jumped inside and worked her magic. Sparks flew, and lights flickered. Then, with a groan, the tram powered on. "Let's go," she said. They boarded and shut the doors. The tram jerked forward, slow at first, then faster. Darkness flew by the windows. The tunnel shook with the weight of the old machine. Daniel kept his hand on his rifle. "They'll be waiting at the other end." Mia held the hard drive tightly. "Then we go through them." The tram burst into the lower hangar of Hollow Reach just as sirens screamed across the base. Troops were rushing into position. Everyone turned as the tram doors opened. Daniel stepped out first. "We have it." Cheers broke out, but Mia held up a hand. "Not yet," she said. We have work to do. They moved quickly to the central lab, where engineers and scientists gathered around the torch archive. The AI Solace had been copied into a secure unit. Its gold and glow lit up the dark room. Mia connected the hard drive. Screens came to life, showing blueprints, weapon data. In Empire fleet movements, Solace spoke. "Welcome back. You bring fire." "Yes." Mia said, "Show us what we can build." The AI displayed 3 options. First, a railgun that could pierce capital ships. Second, a stealth field that hit entire bases. And third, the Scorch protocol. Mia stared at the last one. "This turns matter into energy." Daniel frowned. "That's planet-breaking tech. It's what Earth designed before the end," said Solace. "It was never used. But now, it may be your only voice." The room went silent. The Resistance engineers stepped closer, studying the designs. It would take time to build. Time they might not have. Mia turned to Yusuf. "We need to test it. On something small." "Where?" he asked. "Empire's outpost on Moon 6. She replied, "It's a listening post. Quiet. Remote. No civilians." Yusuf nodded. "Choose your crew. You'll have 1 ship." 3 days later, the ship Ashwin launched from Mars. It was small, fast, and loaded with the prototype Scorch weapon. Daniel was the pilot. Mia sat beside him, hands tight on the controls. Ramos and Lena manned the systems in the back. As they neared Moon 6, the moon looked peaceful. No sign of movement. But they knew the Empire watched from the shadows. "We only get 1 shot," said Ramos. "Make it count," Mia replied. Daniel brought the ship close. The outpost came into view, just a cluster of towers and antennas on the rocky surface. Lena activated the weapon. Energy gathered in the ship's core, building up fast. "Ready," she said. Daniel steadied the ship. Mia gave the signal. "Fire." A beam of pure white light shot from the Ashwind. It struck the moon's surface, and in a flash, the entire outpost vanished. The ground cracked, and a wave of red energy spread outward. Silence followed. The team watched, stunned. "Target gone," Ramos said. Then the alarm started. "Empire fleet responding," Lena warned. "They're coming." Daniel turned the ship. "We leave now." Back at Hollow Reach, the footage of the weapon spread like fire. People watched in awe as the outpost disappeared in 1 strike. Yusuf stood before the council. "They'll hit back hard now. But we showed them something." Mia said, "We're not just prey anymore. We can bite." Solace spoke again. "Be warned. This flame cannot be hidden. The Empire will see you as a true threat now." Daniel looked out the window at the stars above Mars. "Good," he said. "Let them see. Let them come." Far away, in the heart of the Galactic Empire, alarms rang across the command halls. The outpost on Moon 6 was gone. No survivors. No message. Just vapor. General Vark stood in silence. His face was made of stone. Behind him, the Empress stepped forward, her silver robes trailing across the floor. "Who did this?" she asked. "Humans." Vark said, "I thought they were finished." "Not yet," he replied. "But they will be." The fire had started. The destruction of the Empire's outpost on Moon 6 was no longer a secret. Across human systems and captured colonies, people whispered stories of the blast. Some cried. Some cheered. And in the dark corners of the galaxy, some began to hope. But inside Hollow Reach, there was no celebration, just preparation. Daniel walked through the base with silent steps. The wall shook as new weapons were tested. Sparks flew from welders, and engineers rushed across narrow corridors. Above ground, ships were being fitted with stronger armor and fresh fuel cells. In the command center, Mia stood over a large display. The Empire fleet was moving, fast. "They're coming," she said. Daniel joined her. "How many ships?" "More. Then we can count." Daniel's hand tightened on the railing. "They will go for Titan Base first. It's the last major hub with supplies and population." Mia nodded. "And we don't have enough ships to stop them." Yusuf entered the room. His voice was heavy. "We need another Scorch weapon, and we need it now." Lena, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "The second prototype is not stable. If we use it too early, It could tear our own ship apart. Then fix it, Mia said. Titan base must not fall. We'll stop them there or die trying. A day later, Resistance crews gathered at the launch deck. The second Scorch weapon was loaded onto a ship named Sparktide. It was stronger than Ashwin, but it had not been tested in full combat. Daniel led the team again. Mia was with him, along with Lena and two new soldiers, Karen and Yell, before launch. Mia gave a message to Hollow Reach. It would be broadcast. If they failed, to the Empire, she said, standing before the camera, you left us no choice. We begged for peace. You gave us silence. We asked to join. You burned our homes. If we must be forgotten, then we will be remembered in fire. She turned away and entered the ship. The journey to Titan base was silent. The Sparktide floated through dark space, cloaked by stolen Empire tech. Lena monitored the weapon system while Karen and Yell watched the long-range scanners. Titan base came into view, a giant structure orbiting Saturn's moon. Lights blinked across its surface. Civilian ships were docked. Cargo shuttles moved between the rings. But far behind it, the Empire fleet approached, dozens of ships, some as large as cities. They'll reach Titan in 5 hours, Lena said. We hit them before that. Daniel replied. Mia pointed to a large enemy cruiser near the front of the fleet. That's their command ship. Take it out, the rest may fall back. Weapon charging, Lena said. The ship moved into position. The Scorch system began pulling energy from its core. Red lights glowed across the ship's body. But then, an alert rang. Empire patrols spotted us. Yell shouted, We've been marked. 3 small enemy ships closed in fast. Their weapons flashed in the dark. The Sparktide shook as blasts hit its shields. Daniel turned hard. Get us close to the cruiser. Karen fired the defense guns. 1 enemy ship exploded. Another clipped their wing. Stabilizers failing, Lena warned. We have 1 shot. Mia looked at Daniel. Now or never. He gave the order. The Scorch weapon fired. The blast lit up the darkness. A red-white beam shot across space and struck the Empire cruiser. For a second, nothing happened. Then the ship folded in half and vanished in a flash of light. Debris flew out in all directions. Flames scattered across nearby ships. Chaos followed. The Empire fleet broke formation. Some ships turned away. Others fired blindly, unsure where the attack had come from. But the Sparktide was not safe. The shot had drained most of its power. Systems were falling one by one. We need to land on Titan. Daniel said, We'll never make it, Lena replied. Engines are dying. Mia stared at the nearby moon. We land anyway. The ship dived toward Titan's surface, shaking and burning. Ice and dust flew up as it hit the ground hard. The crew jumped out as the ship cracked apart. They had survived. But the Empire knew where they were, back on Hollow Reach. Yusuf watched the battle unfold on the main screen. The enemy cruiser was gone. The fleet had slowed. But Titan base was still in danger. They did it, one officer said. Yusuf nodded. Now we hold. He turned to the comms officer. Send Mia's message across all open channels. The Resistance message played. It spread from Titan base to Mars, then beyond, to the Empire. The message said, We are not your children. We are not your tools. If you bring war, we bring fire. If you erase our name, we write it in your ruins. On alien worlds, the message was heard. On mining stations, deep space ports, and hidden colonies, beings of many races listened. Some had feared the Empire for generations. Others had tried to stay silent. Now they saw something different. A species that had nothing left but refused to kneel. A spark had been lit in more places than just space, on Titan. The surviving crew took shelter inside a frozen cave. Daniel checked the power packs. They had little left, but the Empire was still searching for them. Mia sat against the wall, her arms crossed. They will come, she said. Then we make it hard for them, Daniel replied. Karen smiled. We're still burning. That's what matters. Outside, Empire ships searched the ice. But the humans stayed hidden, waiting for their next chance to strike. In the capital of the Galactic Empire, the Empress sat in her throne room, a cracked Tablet rested in her hands. The message from Mia played again and again. She turned to General Varric. And this, she said, burn the rest. Show them their fire means nothing. Varric bowed. I will crush the spark. He turned and walked out. But he did not know that fire, once started, does not go out so easily. Titan's sky was gray with storm clouds. Cold winds swept across the ice fields, covering the crash site with dust and frozen snow. The wreck of the Sparktide lay still and broken, its weapon systems destroyed, its engines silent. But inside a small cave nearby, 5 survivors remained alive. Daniel adjusted the broken antenna. It sparked weakly. He glanced at Mia, who sat beside the fire, her eyes fixed on the flames. No signal, he said. Still nothing. We'll try again in an hour, Mia replied. The storm will pass. Lena sat in the corner, working on her tablet. Her fingers moved fast over the screen. I'm reforming the comms code, she said. Maybe we can bounce a signal off Titan base. Ramos stirred the fire with a metal rod. Do you think they know we're alive? Daniel looked up. Does it matter? The Empire knows we hit them. That's enough. Mia nodded. We didn't need to survive. We only needed to be heard. Back on Mars, inside Hollow Reach, Resistance Command was busy. Engineers built weapons non-stop. Pilots trained in simulators. And in the center of the base, the AI named Solace studied every move the Empire made. General Yusuf stood at the war table with a group of officers. 3 Empire fleets are moving toward Titan, one officer said. But they're slower now. Cautious. Yusuf smiled slightly. Fear is slower than pride. Another officer pointed to a blinking light. Mia's message is being repeated across 6 sectors. Civilians, traders, and even some outer colonies are picking it up. We're not alone anymore, Yusuf said. Others are watching. Then, Solace spoke. We must give them something stronger than hope. Words are not enough. Send another message. Let the galaxy know we still burn. Yusuf, turn to the room. Prepare the comms tower. We send a broadcast today. Later that day, the Resistance activated a powerful stolen signal array. It reached across systems, bouncing from rock to rock, base to base. And then, the second message began. Mia's voice echoed across the stars. She had recorded it before leaving. This is not a cry for help. She said, this is a warning to the Empire and to all who think we are finished. We are not your forgotten colony. We are not dust. We are the last humans, and we are fire. The message was carried to distant worlds, aliens who once feared the Empire. Now listen with wide eyes. On the trade moon of Doric, workers stopped loading cargo to watch. On the icy rings of Keller, a smuggler's ship paused its engines. Some nodded. Some clenched their fists, and some whispered one word, humans. In the Empire's capital, the Empress watched the message on a tall screen. Her face remained still. Cold. Beside her, General Varric stared at a map of enemy activity. They are louder than they should be, he said. Their message spreads. Faster than their ships, fire spreads fast, the Empress replied. But it also burns out. Varric turned to her. Let me take the Red Fleet. Let me strike their Mars base. One blow. And the flame dies. She nodded once. Go. On. Titan, the storm finally passed. Daniel and his team emerged from the cave. The air was sharp and dry. In the distance, smoke still rose from the crash site. Lena adjusted her tablet. A weak signal blinked. I have something, she said. A drone from Titan base. They sent it to search for survivors. Send our location, Mia said. Within an hour, the drone led a small rescue shuttle to their position. The 5 of them climbed aboard, tired, wounded, but alive. Titan base welcomed them like heroes. Soldiers saluted. Civilians watched from windows. People whispered their names. Mia stood before a crowd near the central tower. We are not done, she said. We lit the first flame. But it is not enough. The Empire will come again, this time with full strength. Daniel stepped forward. Then we must be ready. Back on Mars, the Resistance prepared for war. Solace had begun designing a stronger version of the Scorch weapon. They call it the Ember Seed. It is not just a weapon, Solace explained. It is a message. If used, it will be felt across the galaxy. The Ember Seed was powerful enough to destabilize the core of a planet or a star. Dangerous, final. Yusuf stood with Mia and Daniel as they viewed the design. We only use this if there is no other way, Yusuf said. Daniel nodded. It's not a tool. It's a last word. Mia placed a hand on the table. Then let's prepare the sentence. Weeks passed. Human forces strengthened. Old ships were repaired. Volunteers from forgotten colonies joined the resistance. Small alien rebel groups began sending information, maps, codes, warnings, across the galaxy. The idea of humans small, broken, but unyielding started to grow. The Empire noticed. General Vark arrived near Mars with a red fleet, 60 ships strong. He did not speak. He did not send a warning. He fired. The skies above Mars lit up as red beams shot down. Hollow Reach shook. Dust and fire poured from the mountains. Resistance fighters ran to their stations. While USUF gave the order. All ships. Return fire. Daniel and Mia launched in the Iron Wing, a rebuilt fighter from Earth's last days. It flew fast and hit hard. Around them, resistance ships rose into the sky. The battle had begun. On the edge of the fight, Solace activated a hidden system. The Ember Seed, not yet complete, began charging. Prepare for final strike, Solace said. If the base falls. We released the flame. In the command tower, Yusuf watched the battle unfold. We are outnumbered, he said, but not outwilled, Mia replied from her ship. The Empire thought the humans would break quickly, but the resistance fought with fury. Even damaged ships refused to fall. Even wounded fighters kept firing. Daniel flew straight toward an enemy carrier. His ship took to hits. He kept going. I have one shot, he said. I'm using it, he fired. The carrier cracked and exploded. Back in orbit, Vark saw his ships fail to finish the job. His voice roared over the comms. Destroy them, now. But then, a bright light appeared on Mars. The Ember Seed had reached 70%. Solace gave one last message to Mia. If I activate, Mars is lost. The fleet too. Decide now. Mia paused, then whispered, not yet. The resistance held. Barely. But they held. And the Red Fleet, wounded and scattered, pulled back. Varek's voice came through again. This is not over, Mia replied. For us, it never was. The battle was over. But the ground still trembled. Smoke rose from the edges of Hollow Reach. The sky above Mars was black with ashes and floating debris. Parts of the Red Fleet were gone. Some destroyed. Others fled into deep space. Inside the base, the wounded were being treated. Engineers worked day and night to repair the launch bays. Soldiers helped carry fallen friends. There were no cheers, only quiet determination. Daniel stood near a broken wall, watching a ship being pulled into the repair dock. His face was bruised, his arm wrapped in cloth, but he was still walking, still moving. Mia joined him, her uniform covered in dust. We held them off, she said. For now, Daniel replied. But they'll come again. Stronger? Mia looked up at the sky. That's why we finish it. The Ember Seed. It's time. Deep under the base, in a sealed chamber, the Ember Seed floated inside a shielded container. It glowed like a small star. Scientists stood around it, checking readings, monitoring every line of code. Solace, the AI, oversaw the entire system. Yusuf entered the room with Mia and Daniel. The lead scientist gave a short report. It is ready, she said. But once armed, there's no turning back. Solace spoke through the speakers. The Ember Seed can break apart a star, a planet, or a fleet. It must be used with precision. If not, it will destroy everything in range. Daniel stepped closer. To the container. Where will we use it? Mia turned to Solace. Where will it matter the most? A map appeared in the air. The center of the Empire. A planet called Velar Prime. Not only a capital, but also the energy heart of the Empire's main systems. If we strike there, Solace said, we send a message they cannot ignore. Yusuf nodded slowly. We don't just burn, we show them. We can end everything they built, For days, the Resistance prepared the mission. A fast, stealth ship was chosen. It would carry the Ember Seed, fly through hidden routes, and reach Velar Prime. The ship was called Silent Ember. Daniel volunteered. To fly it, I know the path, he said. I've studied every jump point, every back route. Mia stood beside him. Then I go too. No, Yusuf said, you're needed here. But Mia shook her head. If this is our last move, I'll be part of it. Yusuf looked at both of them, then agreed. Go, and make sure the galaxy hears it on launch day. The Silent Ember sat quietly in the hidden bay. The Ember Sea was locked in the heart of the ship. Its glow pulsed through the metal walls. Mia stood by the window, looking at the stars. Do you think they'll understand? She asked. Daniel adjusted the ship's controls. Maybe not now, but they will remember. The engines came alive. The doors opened, and the Silent Ember slipped into the dark. Their journey took them through abandoned mining belts, deep void zones, and broken warp gates. Each jump was dangerous. Empire patrols were everywhere, scanning space, hunting for signs of resistance. Movement. At one point, a cruiser passed just 10,000 meters above their ship. The crew held their breath as the scanners swept past, but the cloak held. They stayed hidden. Mia checked the Ember Seed every few hours. It remained stable, its energy growing slowly with each system cycle. This is more than a weapon, she said once. It's a story, a final one. Daniel nodded, a message no one can ignore. After 4 days of silent travel, they reached the outer edge of Velar Prime's system. The planet glowed bright in the distance. Its sky was lined with Empire towers. Fleets circled above. It was heavily guarded. Daniel studied the patrol routes. We have one gap. It lasts 6 minutes, just enough to dive in and get out. Mia asked. He didn't answer. She understood. As the ship moved closer, alarms started blinking. A scout drone had caught their signal. Daniel pushed the engines. We're going in fast. The ship dropped into the atmosphere. Anti-air blasts flew past them. The sky turned orange with fire. Metal burned around the edges of the hull. Location locked. Mia shouted, drop point in 20 seconds. They reached the drop zone. A high tower, glowing with energy. Velar Prime's main fusion node. Daniel flipped the final switch. The Ember Sea was armed. Mia sent one last message through the Resistance beacon. To the Empire. You erased our voice, so now we speak with Flame. She looked at Daniel. Ready? He nodded. The ship crashed into the tower. The Ember Seed activated. Light exploded from the heart of the planet. A wave of energy tore through the air. The sky cracked. Towers crumbled. The power grid failed. Ships above spun out of control. Velar Prime burned. Back on Mars. Hollow Reach received the final signal. Static. Then silence. Solace confirmed the result. Target lost. Ember Seed is detonated. Signal shows core destabilization. Yusuf stood in silence. Soldiers lowered their heads. They did it, he whispered. Across the galaxy, the shock was felt. Communications failed in Empire sectors. Trade lines shut down. Outer worlds panicked. But in small places, old mining colonies, forgotten moons. Deep space stations' cheers began to rise. Someone had struck the heart of the Empire. And that someone was human. The Empress stood in her ruined hall, watching. Her city burned through a wide glass window. Vark stood behind her, face pale. They destroyed everything, he said. She turned slowly. Not everything, but the fire is spreading. She clenched her hand. They will not be the last. But the truth was already clear. The humans had sent their last message, not with words, but with flame, and the stars would never forget. Years had passed since the Ember Seed destroyed Velar Prime. The galaxy still felt the shock. The Empire's power was broken, but not gone. Its fleets repaired, its soldiers hardened. In the deep shadows of a forgotten system, Daniel and Mia prepared once again. Hollow Reach was no longer just a base on Mars. It was a symbol, a rally point for all those who dared to resist. Daniel was older now. His hair was streaked with gray. His eyes were sharper than ever. Mia stood beside him, steady and strong. We have to end this, Mia said quietly. Daniel nodded. The Empire rebuilds, but they do not forgive. They believe. We are finished, Mia said. But they are wrong. A stolen Empire ship sat in the hangar. It was fast and armed with new stealth technology. Inside, hidden beneath layers of metal, was the second Ember Seed. Unlike the first, this one was refined, more stable, but still deadly. We take it to the heart again, Daniel said. Mia checked the coordinates on her screen. The Empire. Capital. Now, the Jewel World, Corrales. Yusuf entered the room. His face was serious but proud. This is the last mission. If it fails, the resistance is lost. Daniel placed a hand on his shoulder. We won't fail. The silent Embers launched quietly. It slipped through space with no warning. Patrols scanned the darkness, but it stayed hidden. Mia worked with Lena, now a veteran engineer. They monitored systems, recalibrated shields, and kept the Ember Seed stable. Almost there. Lena said, "No errors." Daniel focused on the path ahead. Jump points, defense arrays, minefields. He moved through them like a ghost, but the closer they got, the tighter the Empire's grip. Corrales loomed in the distance. A shining blue and green sphere surrounded by massive space stations and fleets. Daniel felt the weight of history. This was the center of the Empire's power. Destroying it would break their spirit. Approach slow. Mia ordered, "Watch for new weapons." Varric, the general who once promised to crush humanity, had returned. His fleet was stronger, more ruthless. Sensors blinked. Fleet detected. Red flag. Daniel nodded. We go through. The silent Embers dove toward the planet. Energy cannons fired. The ship shook. Lena engaged stealth drives. The ship disappeared from enemy sensors, slipping past defenses. But alarms screamed inside. Incoming fighters, Lena warned. They're closing fast. Daniel pulled the controls. He dodged blasts, weaving through the storm of fire. Mia prepared the Ember Seed for deployment, almost ready as they neared Corrales. The Empress watched from her throne room. News had reached her. The humans come again. She said coldly, "Varric, destroy them." Varric bowed. With pleasure. Fighter ships surrounded the silent Ember 2. Laser beams cut the dark. Explosions rocked the ship. Daniel held steady. We have one chance. Mia activated the Ember Seed. The ship fired it toward Corrales' core. A bright light tore through the planet. The ground shook. Buildings crumbled. Power failed. The planet's heart was breaking. Back in the resistance base, screens flickered with the news. Corrales was falling. Signal lost. Salah said. Yusuf spoke softly. The Empire's jewel is broken. Mia and Daniel watched the destruction. From afar, "It's over," Mia whispered. Daniel shook his head. "No, it's only just begun." Across the galaxy, rebellion flared. Worlds oppressed by the Empire rose. The humans' message had inspired more than fear. It had inspired hope. The Empress stood amid the ruins of Corrales. Her empire was shattered. Her fleets were scattered. But her eyes burned with hatred. "They will pay," she said. Varric looked at her. "They will never stop." Daniel and Mia looked at the stars from Hollow Reach. "We burn until nothing remained," Daniel said. "But from the ashes, something new will rise." Mia replied, "The fire of humanity was not finished." The galaxy was changing, from the shattered worlds to the dark edges of space. The message was clear. Humanity was no longer silent. Humanity was fire. Daniel stood on the observation deck of Hollow Reach. The stars seemed colder, but brighter. Now, ships from many races arrived. Some came to fight, others came to watch. Mia joined him. "We have friends now." Daniel nodded. "And enemies. The Empire will never forget. They never forget." Mia said, "But we don't fear anymore." The resistance had grown. What began as scattered survivors was now a force. Colonies once lost sent fighters. Ships that were silent now buzzed with engines. The galaxy was no longer ruled by fear alone. Inside Hollow Reach, Salas's voice filled the command room. "The Ember Seed has reshaped power. The Empire is weaker, but dangerous. We must stay united." Yusuf stood beside Mia and Daniel. "This is the last battle." Daniel looked at the map. Enemy fleets gathered near the outer rim. The final fight was coming. The Empress watched from her throne, surrounded by generals. The destruction of Corrales had not broken her spirit. It had hardened her will. They burn, she said, voice cold. But fire feeds on fuel. We will feed the flames until humanity is ash. Vark stood by her side. We will crush the resistance. And this war, she nodded. Send the fleet. Daniel and Mia prepared for the final mission. The Iron Wing and Silent Embers were ready, pilots trained, weapons loaded. Every step was careful. Mia looked at Daniel. We fight not just for U.S., but for all who want freedom. Daniel smiled faintly. Then we make sure they hear us. The fleet left Mars. It moved fast through the stars. The resistance gathered near the outer rim. Enemy fleets waited. The battle was huge. Lasers streaked across space. Ships exploded. The sky was alive with fire. Daniel led the charge. His ship weaved through enemy fire, striking key targets. Mia controlled the Ember Sea launchers. We are ready, she said. The Empress watched the battle on her screens. Her fleet was strong, but the resistance was clever and fierce. They will burn, she whispered. The final battle raged. The resistance pushed forward, but the Empire fought hard. Ships crashed and burned. Heroes fell. Daniel flew through the chaos. He saw the Empress's flagship. It was massive and dangerous. This ends now, Daniel said. He guided the Iron Wing. Close. Missiles launched. Explosions rocked the flagship. Mia prepared the last Ember Seed. It was the most powerful. The final message. We send fire, she said. We burn until nothing remains. The Ember Seed launched. It struck the flagship. The ship broke apart in a wave of light. The Empress's command center was destroyed. The Empire's fleets began to fall apart. Without their leader, they lost control. The resistance pushed through, taking back systems and freeing worlds. On Hollow Reach, the galaxy celebrated. Mia and Daniel stood among friends. We did it, Daniel said. Mia smiled. This is just the beginning. The fire of humanity was not destruction. It was rebirth. The galaxy had heard their last message. They burned until nothing remained. But from the ashes, a new hope would rise. As PERED, we will be ready.